The ruins of Alexandria were still smoldering. Columns of ancient marble and futuristic steel lay torn, twisted, and burned. The scent of scorched sand mixed with the metallic tang of blood. From the shadows of the Nile's cracked banks, survivors whispered the same name in fear. Fenrir, the wolf titan. Rahim, the Egyptian warrior, whose frame towered over men like an ancient colossus reborn, stood with his plasma spear buried in the earth. His muscles were marked with cuts, his armor dented, but his eyes burned with a fire that no titan had yet extinguished. Around him, the remnants of the 7th Human Legion regrouped, scarred, broken, but not defeated. "How many made it out?" he asked, voice low, steady. 200, maybe less, replied Captain Zara, her cybernetic eyes scanning the horizon. "Cairo is gone, Rahim. The wolf titan, it didn't just attack. It hunted. It tore through our cities as if it knew where our hearts beat." Rahim looked at the horizon where the stars dimmed behind the veil of ash. This was no ordinary beast. Fenrir had learned. It stalked in packs now, lesser wolf beasts following its lead, each with steel-coated fangs and scales black as midnight. It did not destroy randomly. It crippled humanity's communications first, then their food supplies, and finally their morale. The HFY command had sent only one message before silence claimed their satellites. Hold Alexandria. Reinforcements in 96 hours. Survive. 96 hours against a god-killing predator. Rahim gripped his spear tighter. Then we don't wait. We hunt the hunter. The night bled into dawn, and the dawn into a storm of sand. Somewhere beyond the dunes, the howls began. The first pack struck at noon. 4 wolves, each the size of an armored tank, descended upon the ruins. Their movements were impossibly fast, their scales glinting with alien metal. They tore through concrete and flesh alike. Rahim led the countercharge. His plasma spear ignited, its edge cutting arcs of blue across the battlefield. Behind him, human soldiers with railguns and drone support fought like wolves themselves, backs to each other, teeth bared. Hold formation. Target the joints. Don't let them circle. Rahim roared. One wolf lunged, jaws wide enough to swallow a manhole. Rahim spun, driving the spear into its throat, then wrenched upward with brute force. The creatures had burst into shards of flesh and chrome. Blood sprayed the sand red. But 3 more came. They were learning his rhythm. Rahim pulled back. Zara shouted from the barricades, a rail slug punching through a wolf skull. "No, we finish them here." The humans fought with a savagery born of extinction's edge. Every blow was paid in blood. By the time the last wolf fell, 30 more humans lay broken on the sand. And then came the sound, deep, resonant, ancient. The howl of the titan. The ground shook as something massive moved in the distance. "That wasn't the pack leader," Rahim whispered. "That was a warning." Night fell heavy over the Nile ruins. Fires flickered like dying stars as the survivors tended their wounded. The morale was breaking. Whispers turned into questions, questions into doubt. Rahim stood before the cracked statue of Horus, its ancient falcon head now wearing the scars of plasma fire. He placed his hand on the stone and spoke, not to a god, but to the history carved within it. "We were slaves once," he said quietly. "Then we became builders, then conquerors. Now we are prey. Is that our fate again?" Zara approached, a data slate in hand. "Command is silent. No reinforcements yet." "Then the story is the same," Rahim replied. "Humanity waits for saviors that never come. Not this time." She frowned. "You're planning something." "Not planning. Becoming." And in that moment, the men and women around them saw something they had not seen since the first Titan War. Resolve. The kind that turned ordinary soldiers into legends. They tracked the wolf titan through the sands for 2 days. Drones buzzed overhead, silent as hawks. Tracks 30 meters wide carved deep scars into the dunes. Then they found it. It was not 1. It was 3. The wolf titan did not hunt alone. Each was a nightmare made flesh, armored for laced with steel, spines glowing with alien bioluminescence, claws capable of rending tanks apart. They dragged the remains of Cairo's defense mechs behind them like broken toys. Rahim raised his fist. The Legion crouched in the sand. "We can't face them head-on," Zara whispered. "Not 3. "No," Rahim said, "but we can wound them. Make them bleed." The ambush was brutal. Landmines turned the dunes into a furnace. EMP charges crippled the smallest wolf. The Legion struck with everything they had. Railguns, plasma, even their last orbital strike beacon. 1 wolf fell. 2 remained. And in the distance, the true Titan stirred. The desert had gone unnaturally still. For 2 days, Rahim and what remained of the 7th Human Legion had stalked the trail of the 3 wolf behemoths. Each one was a monster that could flatten a city district. Each one was a herald of something far worse. The sand whispered their passing, colossal tracks deeper than trenches, littered with the remains of shattered mechs, mangled supply carriers, and human skulls half buried like forgotten relics. Now the sun sank blood-red over the Nile ruins, painting the broken earth in rust and fire. The wind carried the distant echo of something primal, low at first, almost like a rumble beneath the sand. Soldiers paused, fingers tight on railgun triggers, drone operators frozen over their consoles. Even the machines began to glitch, static crawling across HUD screens. Then it came again. A howl. Not of the 3 wolves they hunted. Something older. Something bigger. Rahim's grip tightened on his plasma spear. His armor was scorched, the golden and black plates dented from a dozen skirmishes. But he stood tall, like the statues of the pharaohs who once ruled this land with an iron will and a vision of eternity. "Positions," he barked. "Shields up. Layer the mines, every charge we've got left now." Around him, 200 remaining soldiers scrambled into their desperate defense pattern. Energy shields flared to life, drones took flight, and railguns powered up with a low hum that vibrated in the chest. Zara sprinted to his side, her cybernetic eye glowing faintly in the dust-lit dusk. "This isn't like before," she said, scanning the horizon. This is a storm." "No," Rahim replied, voice low. "This is the Predator coming home." The earth began to tremble, not with footsteps, but with movement. Massive, deliberate, unhurried. And then the sand split. It was like the birth of a nightmare. The dunes erupted as something clawed its way from beneath the ancient riverbed. Black metal fur bristled like blades, each strand the length of a spear. A head the size of a temple rose from the sands, eyes like molten suns locking onto them. Its jaws opened, and the howl that followed tore through the battlefield like a hurricane of sound. Fenrir, the wolf titan, had arrived. Taller than the pyramids, its shadow swallowed the horizon. Its claws could rip warships apart. Its breath burned like plasma. The 3 lesser behemoths they had been tracking were merely scouts, its children, its teeth. The soldiers faltered. Some dropped their weapons, others whispered prayers. One even turned to run, until Rahim's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Stand your ground." The Titan moved, and the world seemed to break. Its first step cracked the earth for a kilometer. Its second sent half their drones tumbling from the sky, their circuits fried by the electromagnetic pulse radiating from its hide. The air reeked of ionized metal and blood. Fire. Rahim roared. Rail slugs streaked across the battlefield, plasma mortars howled, and a dozen explosive drones dove at the Titan's legs. The desert became a furnace of blue light and screaming metal. It was like throwing pebbles at a hurricane. Fenrir shrugged off the first barrage, its armored for absorbing most of the kinetic impact. Only a few slugs pierced deep enough to draw the thick, black ichor that passed for its blood, and where it fell, the sand hissed, turning to glass. Then it struck back. A single swipe of its claw tore through the front line, ripping apart barricades and sending soldiers cartwheeling through the air like broken dolls. 2 mechs were split in half, their pilots' last screams cut short by the roar that followed. "Flank it. Target the underbelly." Zara shouted, rallying her squad. But Rahim didn't move. He stood, a lone giant among men, spear humming with blue-white light. His heart pounded like war drums. He remembered the ruins of Cairo, The children burned alive, the mothers buried in rubble. He remembered the promise he made when the Titans first came. No more running. You came for our cities, he whispered, stepping forward. Now you face a man. Fenrir turned its colossal head, one golden eye focusing on him. For a moment, the battlefield seemed to hold its breath. Then, the Titan lunged. The impact was apocalyptic. Sand turned to storm. Shock waves rippled through the ruins. And the soldiers were thrown back as Rahim met the Titan's claw head-on. His spear's plasma edge flared, driving against the massive talon with a scream of energy. For one heartbeat, it held. Then the ground beneath him cracked, and they both plummeted into the old Nile Canal, a forgotten chasm left dry and hollow after the river's redirection decades ago. The world went black. When Rahim awoke, it was to the taste of blood and the sound of distant howls. His armor was cracked open at the shoulder. His spear lay a few meters away, its tip buried in the stone. All around him was ruin, broken pipes, ancient bones, and the metallic carcasses of machines lost to history. The fall had carried them both down into the bowels of the earth, where forgotten catacombs met the new scars of war. Fenrir was gone. Only claw marks in the stone, each deep as a canyon, marked its passage. Rahim staggered to his feet, pain lancing through his ribs. His HUD blinked erratic red warnings, vitals unstable. Nanite regeneration at 12%. Around him, a dozen of his soldiers groaned, some alive, some too silent. Zara was nowhere to be seen. Command, he whispered into the calm, only static replied. He climbed the rubble until the chasm opened above. The night sky was gone, replaced by a gray haze of dust and smoke. The city of Alexandria, or what was left of it, burned faintly on the horizon. Then he saw it. A trail, massive, gouged into the desert, heading west. And not one trail. 3. Fenrir had not fallen. It had regrouped. It had left with its brood. And it was heading straight for the Valley of Kings. Why there? Why a place of tombs and kings long dead? Rahim's mind raced. The Titans were not random destroyers. They chose their battlegrounds. They sought something beneath the sands, something older than the pyramids, older even than the first pharaohs. He remembered the fragments of Titan code they'd intercepted weeks ago. Awaken the sleeper. Call the pack. Break the chain. Sleeper. There was another. A howl ripped through the night. This one higher, younger, echoing from the west. It was answered a moment later by a second, deeper roar from the north. Rahim clenched his fists. There are more of them. He turned to the few soldiers who still stood. Their eyes were hollow, their bodies broken. But when he met their gaze, something flickered. Something older than fear. Resolve. We can't wait for reinforcements, Rahim said, voice hard. Cairo waited. It burned. If the valley falls, everything after it will burn too. A soldier limped forward. What are you saying, Commander? I'm saying this war doesn't wait for heroes. We become them. He raised his spear, cracked, sparking, but still burning with its ghostly light. Gather the wounded. We march before dawn. We will hunt them. We will drag their corpses into the sun and show the stars that humanity does not kneel. Above, lightning forked across the clouds, unnatural, like the sky itself was reacting to the Titan's call. Far in the distance, deep under the Valley of Kings, something began to stir. Stone shifted. Sand poured. A door older than history creaked open. And for the first time in millennia, a second Titan opened its eyes. Chapter 3. The Tomb of Storms, coming next.